A job now with Volunteers of America, Oregon, as one of their fundraisers, and one of our programs, several of our programs are concerned with this whole area of abuse of alcohol and drugs. So I work with some of these programs, and some of the program directors help raise money for these programs, get an understanding of what happens. A lot of people don't realize that when you go to Oregon State Prison, probably 80% of those in prison, their crimes were committed because of a drug or alcohol problem. A lot of people don't realize the damaging effect that it has on society. So we work quite deliberately at Volunteers of America in bringing people out of prison, because a lot of people, maybe they've only been in trouble once or twice, and they don't have a whole lifestyle like that. We try to break them of the drug and alcohol dependency and get them reestablished in life. So we have a very successful program. In fact, it's becoming a national model of taking young offenders, probably between 18 and 22, and getting them free of that sort of lifestyle and plugged into a better mainstream lifestyle. So actually, it's funny because I'm still working in that field, sort of stays with me. So I think, like I said earlier, either as a volunteer or as paid, I'll probably be doing something with this issue.
Would you like to clarify the steps that you do in this process of helping these teens and adults?
Yeah, we find, we also do this with the homeless. You've seen, they always talked about the old bums on Burnside, the homeless people who are there for year after year after year, and many of them are alcohol or drug addicted. Mm-hmm. We actually have a program for them as well, where we're taking them off the street and getting them reestablished with their lives. And the key step is, the first step is to break from that lifestyle. So you basically can't hang out with the people who do this sort of thing anymore. So what we do, for instance, with the homeless, the hardcore homeless, is they often get arrested by police for committing some sort of crime to support their drug habit. And many of these crimes are felonies as opposed to misdemeanors. Felonies mean you're going to probably get locked up. And what we used to do in the system is we used to plea bargain. In other words, they get arrested and charged with a crime, they plead down to a lesser crime, and they'd be back on the street again pretty soon. What we've decided with working with the police is that instead of having these people bargain down to a lesser crime, we're going to charge them with a felony and give them a choice of going back to prison or going to prison or getting in our program. And many of them, of course, choose the program, and some of them do it cynically, thinking that, oh, I won't have to go to jail, so I'll just do this. Well, this is what we call the pre-contemplative phase. Pre-contemplative phase. In other words, they're not really thinking about getting cured. They're mainly thinking about, I'm not going to go to jail, I'm going to go into this program over here. So we take them there. They're not even ready to be healed yet. We take them in that state. But now, working with them, getting them off the street, getting them into good housing, and then getting them into therapeutic classroom situations and studying this, they begin to understand how the process has been working on them in a negative way. And all of a sudden, they move from this pre-contemplative phase to this thought that, hey, maybe I can lick this thing. Maybe I don't have to live like this anymore. And so all of a sudden, they've shifted, and we keep them in this program for a number of months, and it's a residential program, and then they also have classrooms during the day. Well, at the end of about 90 days, they go from our residential program to a more permanent form of housing. They continue the classrooms, and at the end, we find that these people are successfully transitioning off the street into permanent housing with some sort of employment. So that's an indication of that kind of stuff. With the young offenders, in terms of how we break that, many of the young offenders that go into prison between 18 and 22, the first thing they do when they get out is they get a girlfriend, and they usually get married. And so what we do is we work with the girlfriend, because now they have kids and they want a stable home. So these prisoners now are ready to basically be rehabilitated in society because they want to have a family. They love their kids, they love their wife, they want to have a good life for them. We work with them in this phase, and break that sort of connection they've had to that other lifestyle. A lot of the lifestyle has to do with the choices they make as to who they hang out with. As you all know, I mean, like there's gang kids and there's not gang kids, and there's choices that you make whether or not you're going to do that. Some of that stuff can take you down the wrong path. You know, the best thing is to, you know, be your own independent self and avoid that sort of temptation or need to get into something that's antisocial.